Yeah, no. But I personally won't believe that Carson Wentz's foot is healthy until I hear those words that his foot looks good come out of Rex Ryan's mouth on ESPN's Get Up. Which we know is the only way Rex can get up. You're back here on Odd Man Sports. Or maybe it's your first time. I'm your host, Brandon Perna. I'm also the host of That's Good Sports. Subscribe to both if you're a fan of situational sports comedies. And by situation, I mean hostage situation, which is what it's starting to feel like in this basement. And speaking of Buffalo Bill, on this week's show, I'll break down an AFC East quarterback competition. I'll provide a review of Draymond Green's new show, Chips, and I'll share the most up-to-date breastfeeding recommendations from an unqualified NFL head coach. Dinks and Dunks. Well, we're 2 weeks away from the kickoff of the NFL season. And while there's still many position battles being decided, the quarterback competition between Mac Jones and Cam Newton wasn't even close. And the competition I'm referring to is how well they dodged the question, have you been vaccinated? Here's Mac Jones' attempt.
Vaccinated? Are you willing to share that info?
Yeah, I think just in terms of our team, like everyone has their personal choice, and we're obviously trying to make the right decision just to try and keep everyone protected, and we all want to play. So yeah, it's kind of a personal thing.
Rookie? Let's take a look at the master at work, Mac.
I'm just curious, have you gotten the vaccine at this point, or are you in the process of it at all?
Have you got the vaccine?
Personally, I have, yes. I'm curious about you.
I think it's too personal for each and every person to kind of discuss it. And I'll just keep it at that.
Honest question, at this point in his career, is Cam Newton auditioning to throw passes to N'Keal Harry or to be the lead in a Dirty Harry remake? Wanna know why I didn't get the vaccine? 'Cause I feel lucky, punk. In other NFL news, it was revealed that the Raiders reached out to the Bears about potentially reacquiring Khalil Mack, which sure felt like the guy who broke up with his girlfriend and then 2 years later was like, baby, I should have never let you go. Please come back, I miss the sacks. And while the return of the Mack non-story generated a lot of headlines, it was a lower profile defensive end reuniting with his former team that interested me.
Everson Griffin has officially re-signed with our Minnesota Vikings. 97 is back in the purple and gold.
That's right. The guy who, upon leaving the Vikings last year, tweeted that Kirk Cousins was ass. And now he's sharing a locker with Kirk again. Awkward! Though not as awkward as the time in middle school I told everyone that I joined the Mile High Club. And then it became apparent that I thought joining the Mile High Club meant taking a dump in the opponent's lockers in Mile High Stadium. And Mark Brunell, you never sent me a thank you card for that little gift I left you. Where was I? Everson Griffin, right. As for the former Pro Bowler's first go-around with the team, a longtime Vikings reporter had this to say.
I will say I have fond memories of Everson in the locker room. He was the worst radio guest in the history of mankind.
The worst radio guest in the history of mankind? Clearly, this man has never seen ethereal Icelandic rock band Sigur Rós promote an album on NPR.
Did you start out playing this kind of music, or did you start out as a more, people might think, regular sounding band, and then did you kind of go here as you experimented?
I don't know. I think we probably just started out playing like this.
And how do you guys create a song?
We
just sit down and create a song.
One guy with plenty to say, Draymond Green, interviewed his former teammate Kevin Durant on his new Bleacher Report show called Chips. And part of me commends Bleacher Report for giving Draymond, the modern day Charles Barkley, a platform to speak. And the other part of me is like, last year you released a show in which former NBA teammates talked about their history together while eating a penis pizza. And you followed this up with basically the same concept, minus the penis pizza. And while we're here, I should mention that the Ibaka show was actually a ripoff of a similar idea I had pitched to Bleacher Report. In MLB news, a woman accusing Trevor Bauer of sexual assault had her restraining order denied after private social media messages read in court revealed conflicting information about their sexual relationship. But no matter who you believe in this story, absolutely no one is going to come out looking good. Actually, that's not totally true because one person is coming out looking very good. Padre shortstop Fernando Tatis Jr., who also allegedly had sex with the woman in question, leading her, according to the court records, to say this about him behind his back. He is king, best sex of my life, life-changing, which is what every guy hopes is being said about him behind his back. But if the texts about me from my single days ever got read in public, it would sound more like this. So, how did it go with Brandon? Come on, girl, tell me everything. Nothing special. A little too much crying on his part. And afterwards, he asked if he could be the little spoon. Oh, so I like to be held after a special moment. Sue me. Here we are, Money Talks. Lost in the major NBA free agent news, Warriors second-year guard Nico Mannion announced he was signing a contract to play overseas in Italy. And I, for one, couldn't be more in favor of this decision. The only notable moment of his rookie year, getting bumped by LeBron.
It's good to see you. Congrats. Oh! Just a nonchalant, bone-crushing screen.
Heading into year 2, the 20-year-old Mannion, who was born in Tuscany but grew up in Salt Lake City, had 2 options. Option A, sign a 2-way contract with the Warriors and shuttle between the G League and being the team's 11th man. Option B, sign a deal to be a starter on one of the top teams in Europe. So, instead of a season spent not playing for the Warriors, not being able to get into clubs on the road, and not being able to get Draymond to stop calling him Carrot Top, Nico will spend his early 20s as a star in the country he was born. Going abroad was a no-brainer decision for Mannion, who just finished a stint as the go-to scorer for Team Italy in the Olympics, and according to this article, already has a large fan following in his native country. He'll also make more money in Italy than he would have in the States. The plan, according to his agent, is for Nico to return to the NBA in a couple of years once he's more established. But here's the reality. Once he gets a taste of the good life, the fawning fans, the complex Chiantis, the bottomless bruschetta, he is never coming back. Here's a photo of Mannion arriving in Italy sporting a scarf for his new team, Virtus Bologna, which literally translates to baloney power, which, trust me, once you acquire a taste for it, it is almost impossible to give up. Odd man out. As a person unqualified to talk about football, or really any sport, or really anything, now that I think about it, I'm hesitant to say what I'm about to say next, but here it goes. During halftime of last Friday's Chiefs-Cardinals game, Adam Schefter made this eye-opening comment about Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott.
We're getting closer to the September 9th regular season opener against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The closer we get to that game, the more work they're going to get Dak in practice. He's not fully back. He may not be back all season long.
What was interesting about this Schefter bombshell was the new info, but also the lack of attribution. This wasn't Mike McCarthy told me or inside sources say. This was Adam Schefter reporting that, according to Adam Schefter, Dak might not be 100% at any point this season. Now, unlike Schefter, I'm no Northwestern journalism student, but I'm 99% sure reporters sharing their own opinions isn't really how this works. Now, you may argue that Adam Schefter can walk and chew gum at the same time, but I'm not so sure, considering this attempt at drinking a glass of water by Schefter.
Go, Adam. Let it go. There you go.
Adam Schefter's obvious drinking problem is the last reason he shouldn't be dispensing medical opinions. And just like I'm not interested in getting this kind of advice from Schefter, I'm also not the slightest bit interested in pro athletes' opinions on whether or not the vaccine works. I'm not sure athletes are even qualified to give their opinion on whether or not a hot dog is a sandwich.
Hot dog sandwich? No, not even close. A hot dog is not a sandwich because it's just a hot dog.
Over the weekend, in his Pro Football Talk column, Peter King wrote that Jaguars pass rusher Josh Allen and his wife were recently at the hospital after the birth of their daughter. According to the column, Allen and his wife, Caitlin, were upset about advice from a nurse that for the baby's health, a specific formula was needed as a supplement to breast milk because using only breast milk was important to Caitlin. Now, working an end around on the hospital team, Allen phoned Urban Meyer, who called the CEO of the hospital, and the nurse's orders were overruled. Said Urban Meyer to King, "When you're the hottest guy in town, the coach of a local NFL team, you can do that." A statement the actual hottest guy in town, Jack's Action News, John Bachman, would surely take issue with. And look, my baby, my choice. I get it. After all, this country's defining principle appears to be freedom from the tyranny of people who actually know what the fuck they're talking about. Which, I'll admit, is a little wordy for a bumper sticker slogan. 9 years ago, during his introductory press conference at Ohio State, Meyer was asked about his football philosophy. He summed it up like this.
If you look at our plays, it's the same plays that I was brought up on. It's just trying to be creative and outnumber people.
Pretty simple. So, if you're trying to pull a guard to the second level on a jet sweep, Urban is your man. But while Urban spent 17 years in college, as far as I know, he never got an MD and has no business blowing his whistle on doctors and nurses doing their job. Everyone staying in their lane makes us all better. Schefter can cover contract negotiations, and I'll cover any time an athlete eats a pizza with a penis on it. And the person whom we should aspire to follow when it comes to all of this, you may be surprised, Kevin Durant.
At the end of the day, I'm only talking about basketball. I'm not diving into politics. I'm not telling you how you should live. I'm not flexing my money or my power or none of that shit on you. I'm just literally talking about the game.
How refreshing. All right, that's it for today. Join me next week when I share Andy Reid's Lamaze breathing techniques.